Imagine being one of the most famous actresses in Hollywood. Imagine winning an Oscar, starring in blockbuster movies, and being admired by millions around the world. Imagine having beauty, wealth, fame, and a career that most people could only dream of. Now imagine walking away from all of it, not because your career failed, not because people stopped loving you, but because you fell in love with a prince, a real prince. And overnight, you transformed from a Hollywood superstar into a real-life princess to the world. It looked like the perfect fairy tale. A beautiful actress marrying a handsome prince and living in a palace. But behind the glamorous photographs, royal ceremonies, and elegant gowns was a life filled with pressure, sacrifice, loneliness, and eventually tragedy. This is the incredible story of Grace Kelly, the Hollywood icon who became a princess and whose life ended far too soon. Grace Patricia Kelly was born on November 12, 1929, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She came from a wealthy and respected family. Her father, John Kelly, was an Olympic gold medal winner and a successful businessman. Her mother was a former model and university instructor. From the outside, Grace had everything she needed. But even as a child, she was different. She was shy, quiet, and often preferred observing people rather than being the center of attention. Many people underestimated her because of her calm personality. Few realized that behind that gentle appearance was a determined young woman with big dreams. While others expected her to follow a traditional path, Grace wanted something different. She wanted to become an actress. At the time, acting wasn't considered a respectable career by many wealthy families. Her parents weren't thrilled with the idea, but Grace refused to give up. She moved to New York City and began studying acting. To support herself, she worked as a model. Before long, her striking beauty and natural elegance caught people's attention. Opportunities started arriving quickly, and soon Hollywood came calling. In the early 1950s, Grace Kelly entered the film industry. Almost immediately, audiences noticed something special about her. She wasn't loud or dramatic. She had a unique combination of beauty, intelligence, and sophistication. Directors loved working with her. Cameras seemed to adore her, and audiences couldn't take their eyes off her. One of the most important people in her career was legendary director Alfred Hitchcock. He cast Grace in several successful films. Movies like Dial M for Murder, Rear Window, and To Catch a Thief turned her into one of Hollywood's brightest stars. Her performances were elegant, confident, and unforgettable. Soon, Grace Kelly wasn't just famous. She was becoming a global icon. Then came an even bigger achievement. In 1955, she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her performance in The Country Girl. Winning an Oscar confirmed what everyone already suspected. Grace Kelly was one of the greatest actresses of her generation. She was only in her mid-20s. The future looked limitless. Hollywood expected her to dominate the industry for years. But life had other plans. In 1955, Grace traveled to Monaco for a photo shoot during Cannes Film Festival. There, she was introduced to Prince Rainier III of Monaco. At first, it seemed like a simple meeting. A famous actress meeting a European prince. Nothing more, but that meeting would change history. The two quickly formed a connection. They exchanged letters. Their relationship grew stronger, and before long, they were deeply in love. When news of their romance became public, people around the world became fascinated. It sounded like something straight out of a fairy tale. Hollywood's most glamorous actress was dating a real prince. Then came the announcement. Prince Rainier proposed. Grace said yes. The world exploded with excitement. Newspapers couldn't stop talking about the royal wedding. Millions of people followed every detail. For many, it was the ultimate love story. In 1956, Grace Kelly married Prince Rainier III and officially became Princess Grace of Monaco. The wedding was one of the biggest media events of the decade. Millions watched. Millions celebrated. Millions believed they were witnessing the perfect fairy tale. But there was one major sacrifice. To become a princess, Grace had to leave Hollywood behind. She was only 26 years old. At the peak of her career, she had won an Oscar. She was one of the most desired actresses in the world. And yet she walked away from it all. No more movie sets. No more acting roles. No more Hollywood premieres. The career she had worked so hard to build was suddenly over. Many people couldn't understand her decision. Why would someone give up everything they had achieved? But Grace believed she was choosing love, and for a while, she seemed happy. She and Prince Rainier had 3 children and appeared to be living a dream life. But reality was far more complicated. Being a princess sounded magical. In reality, it came with enormous responsibilities. Every public appearance was carefully observed. Every outfit was analyzed. Every decision was judged. Grace no longer had the freedom she enjoyed as an actress. Her life became controlled by royal duties and expectations. Many friends later said she missed acting deeply. She loved the arts. She loved creativity. She loved performing. But returning to Hollywood was almost impossible. Whenever opportunities appeared, royal obligations stood in the way. Over time, some people noticed sadness behind her famous smile. She remained graceful and elegant in public, but privately life wasn't always easy. Still, she dedicated herself to charity work, cultural projects, and helping the people of Monaco. She became beloved around the world, not just as a princess, but as a symbol of kindness and elegance. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Princess Grace became one of the most admired women on earth. People were fascinated by her story. She represented beauty, class, and sophistication. Fashion designers admired her style. Women copied her outfits. Photographers followed her everywhere. Even decades after leaving Hollywood, she remained a superstar. Yet fame came with pressure. The public expected perfection, and Grace spent years trying to meet those expectations. Despite the challenges, she continued serving Monaco and supporting charitable causes. Her popularity never faded. People genuinely loved her. To millions, she wasn't simply royalty. She was a princess. Then came September 13th, 1982, a day that shocked the entire world. Grace was traveling by car with her daughter, Princess Stephanie. They were driving through the winding mountain roads near Monaco. Suddenly, something went terribly wrong. Grace reportedly suffered a medical emergency while driving. She lost control of the vehicle. The car veered off the road and plunged down a steep mountainside. Emergency teams rushed to the scene. The accident shocked everyone. Princess Stephanie survived. Grace was taken to the hospital with severe injuries. Around the world, people prayed for her recovery. News broadcasts followed every update. Millions hoped their beloved princess would survive, but the injuries were too serious. The following day, Grace Kelly passed away at the age of 52. The fairy tale had come to a heartbreaking end. The reaction was immediate. People across the globe were devastated. Newspapers filled their front pages with her photographs. Television networks interrupted programming. Messages of sympathy poured in from world leaders, celebrities, and ordinary people. Thousands gathered to pay their respects. For many, it felt impossible to believe. The woman who had seemed so perfect, so elegant, so timeless, was gone. Her funeral attracted worldwide attention. Millions watched as Monaco said goodbye to its princess. It wasn't just the loss of royalty. It was the loss of an icon. More than 40 years after her death, Grace Kelly remains one of the most beloved women in modern history. Her movies continue to inspire audiences. Her fashion remains influential. Her story still fascinates people around the world. She achieved what few people ever accomplish. She conquered Hollywood. Then she became a real princess. But perhaps her greatest legacy isn't fame or royalty. It's a reminder that even the most beautiful fairy tales can hide sacrifices, challenges, and heartbreak. Because Grace Kelly had everything many people dream about: beauty, success, wealth, fame, love, a palace, a crown. And yet her story proves that no life is truly perfect. Grace Kelly's life looked like a fairy tale. But behind every fairy tale is a real person. A person with dreams, sacrifices, fears, and struggles. She gave up Hollywood for love. She became a princess admired by millions. And even decades after her death, the world still remembers her, not just as an actress, not just as royalty, but as a woman whose extraordinary journey captured the imagination of an entire generation. And perhaps that is why Grace Kelly will never be forgotten.